tell you who's proud of me. My mom, she's proud of me because I know she was upset about the announcers. Um, let's see where to start. Let's start with Gus Johnson and the debacle that was Saturday's football broadcast. That in fact we will probably spend more time talking about that than we will the actual football game this weekend. Let me take a deep breath, think about what I want to say here. Honestly, I am still bothered by it. I am still very bothered by the quality of the broadcast that we got on Saturday. Listen, if you've listened to this podcast for the last now, 3 years, you know that Steve and I aren't Gus Johnson's biggest fan. We're not Fox's biggest fan, particularly in college football. Um, and I Saturday's broadcast felt embarrassing. I don't think the quality in the broadcast was there, both in the visual quality and really the quality that was Gus Johnson. But if this is the biggest part of your football weekend, which it was for Fox, and I get it, it's Penn State and Illinois. It's probably going to be an ugly, boring game, which is pretty much was what it was. When you can kind of look back at it in that lens, at least fake it until you make it, and give me a little bit of that energy. And I think the thing that we've been talking about, I was thinking about this earlier, the thing that we've been talking about on this podcast the most lately is the word consistency. And I think, look, like, I don't like Gus Johnson's shtick, but be consistent about giving me that shtick, because I think that is at least showing to me as a viewer that you care. And it was very clear that he didn't care. He didn't want to be there. Something else was going on. His mind was elsewhere. He was more excited about the Wings and Deion Sanders than he was any other play. Anytime Penn State did anything interesting, it was, oh, well, and Penn State intercepted the ball and Penn State scored a touchdown. Where is the Gus Johnson that screams his head off like a lunatic? Like, as much as I don't like that Gus Johnson, give me that just Gus Johnson. It was apathetic and it was frustrating as a viewer. You know, if we're going to be saddled with these Fox big noon kickoffs, I want the production to be good, and they just haven't been good. And it is dampening the fan experience because it's changing kickoff times for games that probably should be at night or later in the day. And this was just another check in that box of I'm not Fox's biggest fan when it comes to football.
Yeah, and I don't have my phone in front of me because this is the part where you would say, this is the text Steve sent me this weekend, and this is why we're talking about this. And Darian texted me and said, I'm writing about Gus Johnson. He's not good. And I'm like, you're surprised because? And I didn't know what was happening because I wasn't watching the game. And then I got back and watched it later, having read just like the headline of your thing, but not read the piece yet. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is different. This is not, well, he was nickname given, but it wasn't screaming. Yeah, like I don't know if something was up with him in general. And I don't know how Fox can invest as much as it does in college football and just do it. They don't do it to serve the fans. It feels more self-serving than serving the fans. We have the big score bug. We have louder fan noise. It's kind of even hard to hear Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt sometimes, honestly. And all you got to do is turn down that mix a little bit so you can serve viewers. So I don't understand that. And maybe there's a piece of it. Maybe Gus Johnson is hearing too many people saying, "Oh, well, he's not him," and he's toned it down. Although I don't believe that to be the case that he would do that. So, yeah, it did sound a little different. Yeah, I guess I was surprised about what it was when you said you were going to write. I thought he was doing something over the top, whatever. But there was no even under the top on Saturday,
yeah,
which was interesting.
At one point there was the Singleton touchdown at the end of the game, towards the later part of the game, I guess I should say. And at that point, my entire TweetDeck feed just lit up with what's wrong with Gus Johnson. And yes, like there are times when announcers annoy you as a fan. Like my mom, I know for a fact, turns the game off 10 minutes into every game. Like there are people that I know that they're just going to go listen to Steve and Jack. That's their first move. But there are other times when the announcers aren't really being that annoying and people are like, oh, they're really for this team. It wasn't that. It was something was off, and it was not a good broadcast. It was an embarrassingly bad broadcast. And I don't know if you caught this, and I wrote about it briefly, but even before the game, there was this weird lead in with Gronk doing like a dizzy bat type thing. And it's like, I'm here to watch my team. Talk about my team that I'm about to watch this game. If you want to go to Colorado and do whatever, that's fine. But talk about the game that you're about to show me on my television, because that's you're still obligated to do that because this is still your hallmark broadcast for the week.
Yeah,
And I think God,
that feels to me like the biggest thing. Like it was the game might have gotten caught up in the wash a little bit of some other things that were going on in college football, and what clearly did with the pregame show moving. But again, that was no, not again. We haven't talked about it. That was the right decision, right? You got to go there with that energy and that storyline and whatever else. And Champagne's not going to have anything, and they do an orange out, and the stadium isn't full, and all those things. So I understand that, but I do think not many people, unless it's Notre Dame and Ohio State, you're getting core fan groups for games, especially for this game, especially for Penn State-Illinois. You were getting core fan groups. So go ahead and serve those fans on both
yes.
sides, rather than try to do something bigger about college football or funny or shtick or non-shtick. Just serve the fans. And I think you talk consistency. For me, it's always about, are we serving fans? And I don't know that Fox can answer that question on a consistent basis, that it's serving fans well.
No, it was very clear. And even like to compare it to the 10 p.m. broadcast of the Colorado game, it is 10 p.m. at night. It was the most talked about. It was the most watched. I think it pulled a 16 point something in terms of a rating. And that broadcast felt good, professional, lively, fun, energetic. Like it was complimentary to both sides. It was a little Dion heavy, but it was relatively complimentary to both sides. And I don't know. It's just for Fox to have to shell out the money that they're shelling out and then give you that really turd was bad. It was bad.